Hello, my name is Jamil Evans, and on behalf of the Office of Justice Programs, Territories Financial Support Center, I want to welcome you to our video presentation on closeout requirements. So why is this topic important? Closing out your grant represents the last phase of the life cycle of a grant and is the process when you, as a grant recipient, determines that all the necessary administrative actions and required work related to your federal award has been completed. This consists of a timely submission of all required programmatic and financial reports and conduct a financial reconciliation of their accounting records to the final Federal Financial Report, FFR/SF-425. Failure to adhere to the closeout requirements could potentially result in having costs disallowed and jeopardize future grant funding. Closing out your grant successfully depends on several factors. However, delays in closing out your grant can occur if the recipient fails to follow the Uniform Guidance and program regulations. In this video, you will learn requirements of closing out a grant, how to avoid delays in closing out the grant, and tips to ensure a smooth closeout process based on the OMB Uniform Guidance. Let's talk about the key closeout requirements as outlined in 2 CFR 200.344. Remember, all award recipients have 120 calendar days after the end of the period of the performance to close out the award. That means within those 120 days, you must submit in the Just Grant system all financial, performance, and other reports as required by the terms and conditions of the federal award. Within those 120 days, you must also conduct a financial reconciliation of your accounting records to the final Federal Financial Report, FFR/SF-425. This final report of cumulative expenditures must have no unliquidated obligations. Please remember that any unobligated funds will be deobligated from the amount award. So, make sure you obligate funds by the end of the period of performance and liquidate within 120 days after the project period end date. You must also request the final reimbursement or drawdown of federal expenditures within the liquidation period in conjunction with the final SF-425. Failure to request final payment within a 120-day window may cause delays in receiving any funds due and can result in additional administrative paperwork. After the liquidation period, recipients are unable to draw down any additional funds on the award. Recipients who have drawdown funds in excess of their federal expenditures must return those funds to the awarding agency when they submit the final report. Be sure to reconcile the final FFR against the internal accounting records. All entries in the accounting system must be supported by adequate source documentation, for example, original invoices and contracts. Report all allowable costs incurred, both at the recipient and subrecipient level. Award recipients must report the amount of federal funds returned, i.e., program income on line 10H of the final SF-425, and any unexpended program income returned on line 10O of the final FFR. DOJ strongly encourages electronic submission of refunds using either the Automatic Clearinghouse, ACH, or FedWire. Following closeout, as a recipient, you remain obligated to return funds that may be due as a result of later refunds, corrections, or other transactions. For example, any funds drawn down by the recipient which exceeds the amount that the organization is obligated to pay under the federal award constitutes a debt to the federal government. Lastly, if your organization acquired any property using grant funding, upon closeout, the property can be used as long as needed, regardless of being supported by the federal award. If there are unused equipment or supplies that meet tangible personal property report threshold, the grantee must receive equipment deposition instructions from the awarding agency. Please refer to the DOJ Grants Financial Guide, which includes the deposition of tangible personal property report threshold. To avoid delays, you can begin preparing your closeout prior to the end date of the period of performance. Award recipients should start the closeout process as soon as all administrative actions and all required work have been completed. Remember, all financial, performance, and other reports as required by the terms and conditions of the federal award must be submitted to officially close out your grant. A subrecipient must submit to the pass-through entity all financial performance and other reports required by the pass-through entity no later than 90 calendar days after the end date of the period of performance. Please see 2 CFR 200.344A. The final performance report should be prepared in accordance with the instructions provided by the awarding agency's program office. Therefore, it is important that you communicate with the awarding agency if you foresee any delays in completing the required report. I want to close with some helpful tips for a smooth transition. First, rely on the Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, or GAAP, to ensure a smooth closeout process. This includes reconciling your final FFR using internal accounting records. All entries in the accounting system must be supported by adequate source documentation, such as original invoices and contracts. Following documented policies and procedures. Reporting allowable costs incurred both at the recipient and subrecipient level. Ensuring all award conditions have been met. Demonstrating that you have fulfilled the overarching goals on the program side. And finally, remember about record retention rule per 2 CFR 200.334, which states financial records, supporting documents, statistical records, and all other non-federal entity records pertinent to a federal award must be retained for a period of 3 years from the date of the submission of the final expenditure report. If the recipient follows the generally acceptable accounting principles throughout the entire grant lifecycle, as well as the closeout guidelines, the closeout process should go smoothly. It is important that the recipient communicates with the awarding agency if they foresee any delays occurring. However, with proper policies and procedures in place, an outstanding record-keeping system, and effective communication, closing out the grant should go seamlessly. Please let us know if we can be of any support or assistance in doing that. To learn more about the OJP Territories Financial Support Center, please visit our website at ojp.gov/TFSC or contact us at OJP TFSC@usdoj.gov for additional resources or assistance. If you would like to stay up to date on our videos, click the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.